Hello, everyone. Those who've been following Lumos Diagnostics may be aware that the company has released some excellent news regarding distribution for its FebriDx product. I'm here today with Paul Kase, who is Senior Vice President, Commercial Operations for Lumos Diagnostics, and Paul's going to step us through the highlights of the Australian and Belgian announcements and what they mean for Lumos. I'll start by saying good evening to you, Paul.
Thank you, Jane, very much, and thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming along. Okay, so FebriDx is quite unique in its position in the market. Is that fair to say?
Oh, it's very unique. It's very unique.
Yep.
And we also encourage, we're big fans of other manufacturers in the space that are working. I think it's a very worthy mission, Jane, for us to be on, to be able to say, what tools are out there? What can we provide practitioners so that for folks who do come in the office and clamor and get very upset if they don't get an antibiotic written or an antiviral at that point. Well, I think we need more tools to prepare us for any type of pandemic or future pandemic, even if it's bacterial, right? So I think we need to have tools in place that can triage, if you will, and then ultimately give treatment protocols that are more justified, if you will, instead of an unnecessary antibiotic.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so just talk to us about where you've received regulatory approval to date. So where are you selling the product? What markets are you currently in?
Sure. We actually are in 17 countries. We have our largest, obviously, is the US, where we have our 510K clearance. We are in Canada. We have regulatory approval, obviously, in Australia with TGA. We are in the UK. We are in Europe. We're working in the Middle East as well. And so we're continuing to expand. We're really proud of the momentum. I'd say lately we're spending a bit more of the time just from a metric standpoint in the US based on some of the opportunity. But we are thrilled to finally have a partner who can inventory and sell the product in Australia and New Zealand, and so we can get to that in a second. But yeah, so we've had success. We believe we're going to continue to have more success, but I believe it's finding those distributors and those partners and those key opinion leaders to be able to help us in these countries that, to be honest with you, a lot of the population doesn't even know FebriDx exists. So it's a big day for us.
So this is about getting it out there. So just to that point, the announcements, plural, that we're talking about. So one which was released last week regarding Henry Schein picking up distribution in Australia, and then another one yesterday highlighting distribution in Belgium as well. So remind us about who Henry Schein is and why this is an important relationship for Lumos.
Yeah, of course. So Henry Schein, again, I'll quote their PR. They're the world's largest provider of healthcare solutions to the office-based medical and dental practitioners, the world's largest. And so we currently work with them in Portugal and Spain, Netherlands, and now Belgium. We have a great presence and getting quite a bit of momentum in the UK. Obviously, we're with them in the US as well. And now, again, after quite a bit of effort, we finally are extending into Australia and New Zealand with Regional Healthcare Group, which is the company that has recently was acquired, I believe, last year from Henry Schein, and so it gives us that partnership we've been working to develop in Australia and New Zealand. So
excellent. And do you have distributors in or any other distributors in the markets that you mentioned?
We do. I'd say we have some regional players, mostly non-exclusive partnerships in some of the other countries in Europe. But I would have to say that, and they are actually, they're in great standing with us. We enjoy working with them. It's a little easier to have to be able to work with a Henry Schein, like a distributor that gives us a lot of reach. And I think it's about worldwide reach, really, with Henry Schein, which is how we're able to pick up quite a bit of momentum. But yes, we have other distributors. We're just proud to be able to take on larger, to be able to really expand and grow and create that commercial awareness and the education around FebriDx, and Henry Schein helps us do that.
Great. Okay, we'll come back to that in a sec. In the meantime, I'll just ask, can we expect to see more of these sort of distribution announcements in the coming years in other parts of the world?
Yeah, we are quite right. It's a great question. We're working with quite a few countries, and we're hoping, and we estimate that there'll be quite a few added as we continue to move along here. Again, we're going to put a good amount of time into the U.S. as well, but we have every day, I feel like we have another country who is just, we're working through that regulatory process, especially in the Middle East. And some of these things take time, Jane. They can take up to a year or two to get a regulatory approval. So the funnel is full. Just a matter of timing on when those approvals come through.
Excellent. Okay, so let's come back to focus on Australia and New Zealand, our home markets. I see that the announcement says that sales and marketing will commence immediately. So will we be able to access a FebriDx test in Australia this coming current flu season?
Yes, the answer is yes, an emphatic yes. Again, we haven't put in this much time to just say, okay, we'll wait for the next upper respiratory infection season. So we are currently updating a few documents, and I believe the product will be on the shelf and ready to be sold in Australia in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
So yes, so the product will be available for this current respiratory season, and we're really excited to make an impact.
That's fantastic. Okay, so if I'm in Australia, where will the product be available? Could I go pick one up in the pharmacy, for example, to use at home like we did with the COVID tests? Or do I need to go see my doctor to actually receive the test if I want one?
It is currently healthcare professional use only.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that one day we won't get a self-test or what they call an over-the-counter claim, but for now it's healthcare professional use. I will say the general practitioners, the primary care physicians, emergency departments, hospitals, pediatricians all have access to it. But yes, you would be going to your physician to have the test performed.
Is it? I know we had a paper out on some work that was done in Spain recently. In Australia, is the test safe and effective to use on children?
Yes, safe and effective. The clinical trials included the children for Australia and New Zealand, so we're proud of that. In fact, I think that's one of our major focuses, obviously, for the kids. There are currently children being born with antibiotic resistance, and it's I think it's great that we look at it for the entire population, but absolutely children are part of that. And I think that the sooner we can put these tools in place, the sooner we won't have, I've been reading, Jane, some articles and some source data that shows by, say, 2050, that things can get out of control pretty quickly when it comes down to overall health and the antibiotic resistant microbes such as bacterial, viral, or fungi or parasite. We just absolutely need to do something about the solution and the pathway to a treatment protocol. And I'm sure most of a lot of other manufacturers would agree with me that it doesn't mean I would ever tell a physician how to practice medicine. I think it's just been a lack of tools at this point, but luckily we're looking ahead, right? And I think we need to be much more proactive in the healthcare space with these diagnostics than reactive. And I think, some pandemics, including the latest COVID pandemic, taught us that let's get proactive and maybe be somewhat educated as to what might be coming in the future, as opposed to being reactive. Just a dangerous spot to be in. So anyway, hopefully that answers your question.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to you for your role in getting this all across the line, and to Lumos for bringing this product forward. It's obviously it's got an important role to play in the overall healthcare environment. So yeah, well, congratulations once again. Thanks for your time today, and looking forward to keeping across progress.
Thank you, Jane. Really appreciate it. We'll continue to kind of pound out social media and other awareness tools, if you will. But this interview has been a very productive use of our time, I believe. And I can't thank you again for having me on.